Avoid moving to Powder Springs, Georgia unless you can handle this. That's the title of today's video. So I'm going to go over 9 things you need to know about Powder Springs, Georgia. If you can't handle, you probably don't want to live there. So let's get right to the 9 things now. Hello friends, and welcome to my Living in Marietta, Georgia channel. If you're new to this channel, it's all about what it's really like to live, eat, sleep, play in Marietta, Georgia, and everything in between. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Please hit the like button so others can find this video more easily, and hit the subscribe button and tap the bell so you get notified each time I upload a new video. My name's Dan Hilsman. I'm a real estate broker, and we get so many calls from people reaching out to us about their move to Marietta, Georgia and surrounding areas, and we absolutely love it. And you can get a hold of me too. So if you want to talk, give me a call, send me a text, an email, or skip all that and go straight to the front line by scheduling a Zoom call using the calendar link in the description below. However you want to get a hold of me, I've got your back when making your move to Marietta, Georgia and surrounding areas. Number 1, you have to leave early to go pretty much anywhere. So if you have to be somewhere on time, and if you cannot be late, then you're going to need to leave early. And leaving early is going to kind of depend on where you have to go, how far away, but it's a little bit of an unknown. So I had a boss once many years ago, and he said, okay, the meeting's at 9 o'clock. You cannot be late, and don't use traffic as an excuse or anything else. So I had to leave pretty early because unlike some places that I've lived or some places that I've visited, you know, it wasn't very far from place to place. There wasn't a lot of congestion or traffic. There was not a lot of unknowns. So you could leave pretty much and knew what time you would get there. Not so in Powder Springs. There's different road work, and there's just different things going on. So if you can't handle having to leave early to get to where you have to go, if you have to be on time, then it might not be a good fit for you. So another quick example is I used to have to we juggled my wife picking the kids up from the bus stop. Well, it couldn't really be late for that, right? So couldn't leave exactly on time to get there either because of traffic or just the unknown. So with the congestion in Powder Springs. So since I had to be there on time or a little bit early, you know, then I had to leave early. So if you can't handle leaving early or leaving a good bit early to get to where you have to go to be on time, Powder Springs might not be a fit for you. Number 2, it's very congested. So there's a lot of congestion in Powder Springs as far as road work. It's still growing. There's still some woods there. There are new neighborhoods popping up. I'm doing this video in 2022. So there's still a lot of congestion for Powder Springs. So if you're not used to having a lot of people around, a lot of cars around, a lot of traffic, and just a lot of congestion, if you're not used to that in your daily routine, Powder Springs, Georgia may not be a fit for you. Now there's a few cities a little bit farther north that we can get you into that do not have nearly the congestion. Also, we could go a little bit west of Powder Springs, Georgia that won't have nearly the congestion. But as far as Powder Springs go and congestion, if that's not anything you're used to or anything you want to deal with, Powder Springs probably will not be a fit for you. Number 3 is there are people everywhere. Since we're close to Metro Atlanta, we have a lot of spillover from that area. And as far as people go, people moving in, places to work. So if you're not used to seeing a lot of people and a lot of people in the grocery store, common to have a little bit of wait for a table in a restaurant, gas stations, just wherever you are, you're going to be seeing a lot of people. And so Powder Springs, people are everywhere. There's not a lot of vacant land at all. Super congested like on my last tip, but yep, people everywhere. If you're not used to that, don't want to see people everywhere, want more privacy, Powder Springs probably will not be a fit for you. Number 4 is the schools. The high schools in particular have pretty wide rankings. So I like to look at greatschools.org. Love that site because it does change from time to time, but generally speaking, as far as the high schools, well, I'll just use the schools in general, kind of looking at a 5 ranking to a 9, sometimes a 10. So there's a couple of schools that are not nearly as rated as high as other schools in Powder Springs, and then there's some really high rated schools in Powder Springs. So pretty big fluctuation between the ratings of the schools. So if that's something that's important to you in having, if you have kids and you want them in a high rated school, then reach out to me. I know the school system and all. So big fluctuation though on the schools. Now typically the lower rated schools are kind of stay lower to mid rated, and the high schools do stay more in the high ranking. So not a super big fluctuation as far as each school going from 5 to 10, but just in general you have a pretty big swing in the ratings of the schools in Powder Springs. So if that's something that's a concern to you, Powder Springs might not be a fit, but we can get you in the right district, and then pick a neighborhood that's close to the school. So if there was ever rezoning, I can help you with all that, so reach out to me. But yep, big fluctuations in the school ratings in Powder Springs, and just want to make you aware of that. Number 5, it is humid. So Powder Springs, you know, we're in the south, we're near hot Atlanta, as I like to say. So it is hot, but it's not only hot, it is humid. So if humidity is a problem for you, or if you don't enjoy the humidity in the summer, you know, we have a high percentage rate, a lot of sweating going on in the summer, not just a dry heat. I was in Arizona not too long ago, and it was totally a different kind of heat, right? Went out running and it was very hot. It took me a little while to sweat. Well, if I'd been in Powder Springs and started running, I probably would have started sweating about the 10th step or so. So super humid in Powder Springs in the summertime. If you're not a big fan of humidity, if you like that more of that dry heat with a little bit of a breeze, not going to really get that in the middle of the summer in Powder Springs. Number 6. So also, as far as that goes, we'll stay in kind of the same area of concern is snow. If you like snow, and if you like going outside and playing in the snow a few times a year, being a part of the snow, having snow is something that you look forward to in the winter, Powder Springs probably is not going to be the place for you. Now, every now and then, because I currently live in Powder Springs, and I've lived near Powder Springs for a majority of my life, but as far as the snow goes, a couple of times a year, some years, we'll get a few inches. So the kids can get out with cardboard or sleds and get out and slide around a little bit. But generally speaking, each year you may or may not get any of that. So there's a lot of light dustings. Sometimes it'll snow, but it won't stick. Sometimes we'll have some flurries. But if you're looking for that couple of inch, 2 to 6 inch or more, not gonna have that in Powder Springs. So if you love snow and looking forward to that, now you can live in Powder Springs and go north a little bit, get in the car, and there's snow ski slope right at the top in part of Georgia, North Georgia, right in the corner, and then you can spill over into North Carolina, and you can go snow skiing, but not as far as just staying in your yard or in your neighborhood, getting out and enjoying the snow. Might see snow a couple times a year, may not, and might see sticking to the ground once or twice a year, and then just every now and then, every decade or so, we'll have, maybe that 2, 3, 4, 6 inches of snow. But also when it snows like an inch or more, everything is stopped. People rush to the store and buy milk and bread. They know it's coming, and it's kind of silly. Sometimes it even be for a half a day, but everything's purchased as far as milk and bread in the grocery store. So people here get a little crazy because they're not used to the snow, and the road workers, we have some road crews for that, but generally speaking, not like the towns up north where it's something that we have a lot of preparation for. Next is the mosquito. So bugs are a big problem in Powder Springs. A lot of mosquitoes, super annoying during picnics, ball games, things like that. Roaches, spiders. So we have a lot of bugs. We are in the south, and we do have bugs. We have great pest control for the bugs. For our house in particular, we have companies that come out and they'll spray around the perimeter. They'll take a little mop and clean out, make sure there's no spider webs to keep all those away, and then they can come in and spray on the inside of the house. So we have a little bit of an outdoor barrier and an indoor barrier. Mosquitoes, big problem. Bugs in general. We are in the south. Now also, as far as the picnics in the yard, we do have some of the companies will come out and they'll spray, and they have a mosquito barrier repellent that they can spray in your yard. So that we do have a good solutions for that, but just want to make you aware, if you're not a big fan of bugs, mosquitoes, insects can be a problem here in Powder Springs because we are in the south and we do have a lot of bugs. Number 8. Now you're going to want to stick around for the last one too, because it's going to probably be a little bit of a surprise to you. But number 8 is the small lots. So most of the homes are on quarter acres. Sometimes it's as little as almost an eighth acre. Good many houses are on a half an acre. Some of the older homes, older neighborhoods, you can get an acre or maybe an acre plus. But generally speaking, especially the newer homes, you're on a half to a quarter acre. So you'll see your neighbors, they'll be close by. And the houses are pretty much right next to each other. You know, the good news there is you don't have a lot of yard work, so that can be a big bonus. But as far as being close to your neighborhood in the small lots and also the HOA, so it's small lots and HOA with a lot of restrictions, sometimes with paint colors, parking in the yard, you got to pull your weeds, you got to keep your pond straw up, things like that. So if lots are a concern to you, or the HOA in the neighborhood, Powder Springs may not be a fit for you. Number 9 is the wildlife. Now, surprisingly, even though we're really close, 30, 40 minutes or so to Atlanta, we have a lot of wildlife. So it's not super uncommon once or twice a year we'll get a neighborhood alert, you know, put up your dogs and cats, there's coyotes running in the neighborhood. Now, not a lot, and it's just usually a coyote or two or someone sees one. But they are out and about. We still have a lot of woods, you know, even though we're close to we are metropolitan Atlanta, we are close to the city, but there's still a lot of woods. And about once a year, I'll hear a report of a deer. I have seen coyote, not a deer, a bear. I have seen coyote. I've not ever seen a bear. But as far as the deer goes, they're a problem too, because you have to watch out for when they're crossing the road. Now, it doesn't happen a lot. Probably once or twice a month, I'll see some deer, and they're usually off to the side of the road or going into the woods. But you do have to be careful, because if you hit a deer with your car, you're going to have a lot of car damage. So the wildlife, even though we're so close to Atlanta, a lot of people are surprised. I was showing a house a few years back off a deck, lady looking at it and said, "What's in the woods?" And I was like, well, there's no telling. I mean, we do have coyote here. She said, "Will there be any bears back there?" I said, "Probably not, but there could be." Because we do have some bears that sometimes get down as far as Metro Atlanta. So definitely deer. And she asked about snakes. Yeah, we have tons of snakes. And again, the woods anyway. You won't see snakes, you know, out like generally speaking in the neighborhoods. But in the woods, definitely. So a lot of wildlife as far as Powder Springs goes. And some of that surprising being the coyotes and occasional bear. That's more so just a little farther north. And but deer, still a lot of deer here in Powder Springs, and that's something you need to be aware of too. So if wildlife's a concern to you, let me know. We can get you a little closer to the city where that probably won't be a problem. But I thought that was super important. So I'm Dan Hillsman. I love helping people. We get lots of people calling us about reaching out to us about their move to Marietta, Georgia, surrounding areas like Powder Springs. Happy to help and get on a call with you too. So just give me a call, text, and email. However you want to get a hold of me, I've got your back. We're making a move to Marietta, Georgia, Powder Springs, or any surrounding area in metropolitan Atlanta. Hope you have a great day, and check out one of my next videos will be on the top 5 neighborhoods in Powder Springs.